Whoa! Hey, how's it going?
You're working.
Hot off the success of animated TV shows like Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill, writer-director Mike Judge made the jump to live-action comedy in 1999 with the release of Office Space. Depicting the halcyon days of the dot-com bubble, Office Space tells the story of disgruntled office workers who hate their jobs but also fear being laid off as the small tech company they work for begins downsizing. That is everyone except for Peter Gibbons, played by Ron Livingston, who has an epiphany after witnessing an occupational hypnotherapist die of a heart attack.
But when I saw that fat man keel over and die, Michael, we don't have a lot of time on this earth. We weren't meant to spend it this way. Human beings were not meant to sit in little cubicles staring at computer screens all day, filling out useless forms and listening to 8 different bosses drone on about mission statements.
So you're gonna quit?
Nuh-uh, not really. I'm just gonna stop going.
So you're gonna get another job?
I don't think I'd like another job.
Well, what are you gonna do about money and bills and...
You know, I've never really liked paying bills. I don't think I'm gonna do that either.
Peter doesn't quit his job, but instead engages in a bit of what we now call quiet quitting. Although his particular approach to quiet quitting is relatively loud. As for what he wants to do with his life, his answer is simple.
Nothing.
Nothing, huh?
I would relax. I would sit on my ass all day. I would do nothing.
When Office Space was released in February 1999, the dot-com crash was still a year away. 9/11, the 2008 financial crisis, the COVID lockdowns, and the attendant economic hardships were on nobody's radar.
That sounds good, Peter.
And Office Space did poorly at the box office, arguably due to a bad marketing campaign. The film has since grown into a cult favorite. Watching it now, the style and the pacing feel slightly dated, and it sometimes has a TV sitcom feel to it. Although that might be because of all of the sitcoms that appeared in its wake.
I love this.
But even if you've seen it enough times to know all the jokes, the film is still engaging, structurally solid, and chock full of memorable, memeable moments from a great cast.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
That would be great.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about. Oh.
Good evening, sir. My name is Steve.
Watch out for your cornhole, bud.
What's truly remarkable about Office Space is how it still resonates with audiences so many years after its initial release.
Is there any way that you could sort of just zonk me out so that, like, I don't know that I'm at work? Could I come home and think that I've been fishing all day or something?
And that just happens to be the premise of the TV show Severance. Office Space speaks to our current era of burnout and the global reassessment of the value of work in the face of economic slowdown, political instability, and automation and AI. Working people across the world, especially young people, are reacting to their circumstances in much the same way that Peter Gibbons did. Alienated workers in dehumanizing office environments have long been a staple of film and modern fiction, at least as far back as 1853, with the publication of Herman Melville's short story, Bartleby the Scrivener. Bartleby works in a Wall Street law office. That is, until he starts responding to his boss's every request with the following statement.
I would prefer not to.
Prefer not to? What do you mean you prefer not to? Are you refusing to cooperate?
I prefer not to.
Bartleby, come in here and verify this notice of petition to administer an estate.
I would prefer not to.
Eventually resorting to sitting at his desk, doing nothing. Bartleby is a spiritual ancestor to Peter Gibbons. And the phrase, "I would prefer not to," has become a 21st century meme, thanks to the philosopher Slavoj Žižek.
One of the ways, but I don't have time to explain it now, it would take too long.
People often talk about how a certain movie changed their lives, and very often that's an exaggeration. But in my case, I can truly say that Office Space literally changed my life. Throughout the 90s and the early 2000s, I had a good paying job at a big metropolitan newspaper. My job was to enforce credit policy for the advertising sales department.
I just stare at my desk, but it looks like I'm working.
After watching Office Space a number of times on VHS, I was eventually compelled to quit my job, cash out my 401k, and live out Peter Gibbons' dream of doing nothing, which lasted about 10 months, at which point the money ran out and I had to find work again. I don't necessarily recommend doing this, but it's a decision that I don't regret at all. You might ask yourself, why would anyone do something so completely impractical and foolhardy? It's not as if I was working in a coal mine. But to me, the idea of a job, any job, felt like a trap. I was spending a disproportionate amount of time, my life really, at an occupation that served no purpose, did no one any good, and really didn't need to exist. This is the basic description of what author, anthropologist, and anarchist David Graeber termed bullshit jobs in his 2018 book of the same name. Although these sorts of jobs may be well-paying and marginally respectable, 40 hours a week spent on pointless tasks can begin to wear on you after a few years.
PC load letter? What the fuck does that mean?
There are a number of reasons why bullshit jobs exist at all. The decline of manufacturing and agricultural jobs and the rise of information technology led to a marked increase in the number of managerial jobs in the workforce, which leads to Peter answering to 8 different bosses and the restaurant manager who obsesses over the amount of flair his employees are wearing.
Some people choose to wear more, and we encourage that, okay? You do want to express yourself, don't you?
But perhaps the most significant factor leading to the creation of BS jobs has to do with something called technological unemployment. Technological progress eliminates jobs faster than new jobs can be created. Because labor-saving technology increases efficiency, new inefficiencies must be introduced in order to create new jobs to manage them. Bullshit jobs. This is why the current healthcare system in the US is preferable to a single-payer system. The large number of different providers, coverage options, and payment systems requires a massive workforce just to keep the whole thing afloat.
And that means jobs.
And that means jobs.
And that means jobs.
And that means jobs.
And that means jobs. No, that means jobs.
And that means jobs.
And that means jobs. And that means jobs. Jobs, jobs, jobs.
That means jobs like that of the efficiency consultants, who are conversely tasked with eliminating jobs in order to cut costs and keep shareholders happy. The job that I quit over 20 years ago probably doesn't even exist anymore, replaced by a software system that manages credit lines for newspaper advertising, an industry that's been hammered by the rise of the internet. Back in the 19th century, our old friend Bartleby was employed as a scrivener, copying legal documents by hand. By the time the mimeograph was in use, the scrivener was long gone, although the machine still needed someone to stand around and turn the crank. A few decades later, the copy machine would become a technological wonder. Techno-optimists have always gushed about how progress creates as many opportunities as it eliminates. But with the advances in automation and artificial intelligence, it will soon become impossible to create enough bullshit jobs to replace all the ones rendered unnecessary. Until new systems are put in place to address these concerns, the job search goes on. By the way, if you happen to need a video editor, hit me up. I found a great opportunity on LinkedIn recently that involved teaching AI how to be an editor. I thought about applying for a second. Someone's gonna do it, but I would prefer not to. Thanks for watching.